can see Carlisle has a comment already on here. It says, must be Friday in Canada. During Expo week, we operate on a different calendar. You got to remember that's very important.
It's Expo time.
That's right. That's right. So we don't run the normal calendar. I'm not from the normal location anyway. So it's like it's all completely different. It's all completely been messed up. It was actually funny. So Yannick, I know, I think you know this already, but I was chatting with a couple of folks, and they were like, "Oh, nothing on Friday." It's like, dudes, listen, I'll tell you a couple of quick stories, and I want to share a couple of stories with you, and then I want to chat with Yannick a little bit. By the way, in case any of you are concerned about Eric, Eric is slowly dying off in the distance somewhere. So he let us know he was under the weather. So we'll give him the week off. We'll let him we'll let him work off his diseases on his own time in his own location. So I think he'll be all right over there.
Eric,
But
stop
Yannick and I.
eating stuff off the floor.
That's right. Exactly. The 5 second rule exists for a reason. For a reason. But what I was going to mention is that at least he'll be pleased. Boston is beating Toronto right now. I've actually got it up on the screen here. So, but I'll share a couple of stories here from the Expo. We'll chat for a little bit. And Yannick has had some success at the Expo as well. So I wanted to chat with him about that a little bit as
Sure
well.
did.
So, so we got back earlier from dinner with the Burrell and the rest of the folks. So today, Saturday is a little bit better. So I had folks reach out to me and they're like, "Oh, no Friday Live." It's like, guys, here's the story. Here's the short version of the story that I can tell for legal purposes. Here's the legal purposes version of the story. So I go out and have dinner with potentially people that have been on the podcast before, allegedly, and then some of Eric's clubhouse associates and friends, not Eric, but others who have been involved in the clubhouse scene.
There's a
And we
couple
go
good
and hang.
clues.
That'll give you a couple clues. But I will say this. I was hanging out with them. We were drinking, having a good time and everything. But last call at that particular bar was at 1 a.m. And I got back to the hotel at 2:45. So very clearly, I wasn't going to be doing any live streaming of any kind. So it was, I got back here like a good responsible adult Yannick. 3 a.m. is
You-
unruly, but 2:45 is reasonable.
That shows so much responsibility on your part, Harold.
Restraint, Yannick.
Good
I am a
friend.
man of
Good friend.
restraint as much as I am a man of peace. These are facts.
Man at peace. And peace.
Absolutely. But here's the thing. The reality of it is that yeah, no, it was good. It was a good time. And when I got back, it was chill for me. But at the same time, I was like, yeah, the advantage, if you're not setting up at a table, you're not setting up at a booth, you don't have to worry about it. Like I can take my time, and I was able to have a nice brunch earlier today and then cruise in my usual time and everything and still get my time out of it. So it was pretty good. So Zach here we go. Exactly. Thank you, Jeff. Yep. Here's Santa Sonora. You sick me? You're already a sick man. You're a very sick man. Eric,
You
go
should be
to bed.
asleep right now.
Yeah, like Eric, listen, Eric was doing a whole dramatic thing. Like, I'm on the verge of death. My will and testament has been updated. Speak well of me in the next life. Like this whole thing with Eric, whining and complaining. None of us care. None of us
He,
care.
he asked me to get autographs from him for him, so he put me back on his will, and then I told him I couldn't, I didn't have time, so now he disowned me again, and
Of course.
it's just nonstop. It's nonstop with that guy. But again, like rule number one, Eric, if it's been on the floor for over 5 seconds, don't eat it.
That's right. 100%. 100%. Exactly. But so it was a good evening hanging out with a lot of the folks, and I will share. So I actually uploaded already. So just before I met up with Yanik here, I uploaded a video of my pickups for the first couple of days of Expo. So took care of that, got the video uploaded, got that put up on the channel, and then I'm planning on doing a couple of things on Sunday. That's my plan. But I did get a chance to chat. Today was a day of checking out a couple of things. I did find a few cards. Yannick got himself a nice little purchase. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But also, today was a great day for talking with some folks. It was a great day for hanging out and chatting with some folks, definitely. So real quick, Stuke here. Good evening. Thank you, Stuke. Canadian Cards. So Mike, Canadian Cards. I was able to sit down and have a nice conversation with Mike, hang out and chat. It was good conversation. So thank you, Mike. Appreciate you. And like I said, I'll share. I've got a couple of pictures for stuff that folks that I was able to hang out with as well. So we'll share some of that in the recap video. So I'm still going to be here tomorrow, and then I will go to the show for a bit. And I'll head back to the house. But when I get back home, I'll put together a couple of things and put together a little recap video and everything. So tomorrow will be checkout day and all that. But I'll be honest. I found a couple of things that I might make a play for. And listen, I'm not saying that Yanik has a card that we may have a discussion on Sunday, but I'm not saying he doesn't have a card that we may have a discussion on Sunday. We'll see. We
do, and I also have a couple plays that I'm Just keeping on the corner of my eye there tomorrow in case like past lunch. If that hasn't been sold, then I definitely have a final offer for Sunday.
Perfect. So Orlando, thank you for popping in. Appreciate it. Orlando's present. Now it's officially sanctioned stream. Appreciate the sanction. Good stuff. Now, Yannick, tell you what, I'm going to share a couple more stories. I wanted to start off with that one. And what I'm going to do, here's what I'm going to do. I actually have a mini fridge in this hotel. So I'm going to go to my mini fridge. I'm going to grab my beer in my mini fridge. But while I do, would you mind sharing one of your lovely pickups? By the way, a lovely pickup that's on your shirt too, which was a nice bonus, I must say. But could you share that while I quickly grab the beer over here?
I will, absolutely will. So today I made a big purchase related. It's hockey related, but it's two basically players from my hometown, and basically they won the first Stanley Cup as when the Stanley Cup was a challenge, and it's a tough set. It's basically the equivalent of the two T206 for hockey. So this is a 1912 C57 of Joe Malone in a two. I just thought like everything was perfect with this card with what I was looking for. I've been on the hunt for this card for about 2 years. So here's the back. That's a
By the
set
way,
of 50 cards.
the caption on the back, Yannick, is the best part for me. The lovely, succinct one-line caption.
Has always been with Quebec.
That's correct. Exactly. I think it's a great little caption on the card. By the way, really, could you stand up for 1 second because it's on your shirt? I think that was the best part about the whole deal. So Yannick buys this card, but check it out. It's on the shirt. So he's literally wearing the shirt and he's got it on the card there.
So
So
have
now
you
we'll have to
seen
scratch it
these
off.
guys? And I'm just crossing them off as I go. So
Beautiful. Yeah. That's why I wanted to share that because I thought it was great that you had it on the shirt and then also got the card. And I thought that was a good little combination of the two things. It was well done, I would say, certainly. So there you go. Orlando says nice pickup. Absolutely. Stu says
thank
awesome
you.
card. Well done, Yannick. Thank you, Mike. CC, good evening, Jets. Awesome card, Yannick. Nice pickup. Exactly. Across the
Thank
board.
you
So
guys.
congrats and kudos. Congrats and kudos. Well done by you. There you go. Shouldn't he be holding a play card with a number? Was he not convicted? There you go. Exactly. Nicely done. But that's pretty good. I will say it has been a good show. So obviously, I think you can attest to this, Yannick. It's been a good show, I think, for the collector pickups. I think it's been good. The hanging out and chatting has been good. I've enjoyed it. I've had a lot of fun, honestly, because I think it was. I think I came to it with the right approach. I think we knew that this was good. The Spring Expo is a little quieter between the spring and the fall, so I think it worked out. By the way, today was at least reasonably busy. There was some decent foot traffic, I would say. You
It
even made a
was.
couple of sales. You were setting up as Yannick the dealer a little bit as well, so you made some sales as well, didn't you?
I had the dealer hat for the first time. I've been going for the expo now almost for the fourth year. I haven't missed a, basically from after COVID. I think so. It's my fifth or sixth in a row.
Hmm.
And but first time as a vendor, so behind the table, so a whole new perspective. Lots of preparation, almost 2 months in the making for me to basically get to this level with the help of Mr. Burrell. And so, yeah, behind the table, lots of foot traffic, lots of people asking questions, looking up, making offers. Not necessarily all big deals, but a lot of steady, smaller transactions. So, overall, I'm really happy with the show so far for day three
Yeah,
now, basically, counting the VIP evening.
that's right, exactly. So real quick, Yannick, can you show the card one more time here? So just Paul caught on a little bit late here.
A
So this is
hundred
Joe Malone.
percent. So this is Joe Malone's rookie card. It's 112 years old, and it's a pretty very tough set because it wasn't necessarily produced in an extensive way. So for us here in Canada, these only come once in a while around in a good fashion that is presentable. Most of the time, it always defaced. So this one had a pretty good eye appeal from a two, in my opinion. So.
Perfect. Now, hopefully you can't hear. There's something going off in the distance. I'm not sure what the heck is going on outside, but I'm close to a window, so that's what makes it. I can hear it, so I don't know if you guys can, but I just wanted to make sure I covered that. Great pickup. Beautiful. CC says I usually stay on Saturday due to the huge crowds. There is a large crowd on Saturday, relatively speaking. That is true. How would this Saturday compare to a recent spring expo? Now that's interesting. Um, Compared to other spring expos, I feel like it was normal for Saturday. Saturday is going to be busier. We did have George St. Pierre, who obviously was going to draw a crowd. So certain autograph guests will draw a crowd. And usually Menzie will pick a certain guest on the Saturday to try to bring in a crowd. So for
Big
the
time.
autograph side, I have no doubt that I wasn't down in that corridor today at all. I didn't even
I
try to go
stay
down there.
away from there.
Yeah. So, but I have no doubt that that place was probably packed. I would believe that to be packed because George St. Pierre is very popular and the autographs
It's
are all in
packed.
one hall.
It's packed without necessarily having a big name as GSP. So I'm guessing having him over plus the shooter McGavin,
Mhm.
actor, and I think Cujo was there today too. There was other guy I can't remember.
Yeah, there were a number of name guests, definitely.
Yeah.
And but I will say, and this is one thing that is always a pet peeve of mine. The guy on the loudspeaker is obnoxiously loud.
Yes.
It's a pain in the ass. It's like, dude, we can hear you. We can hear you fine. You don't have to scream in addition to being on the loudspeaker. And we're all trying to do like talk or do business or whatever. And it's like, dude, we don't need to hear you every couple of minutes. We got
So
it.
much
GSP's
going
down
on
there.
at
We
the same
got it.
time.
We got it,
Yeah.
man. We got it.
100%.
Thank you. It looks like a bumblebee with the stripes on the shirt. Yeah, I get it. I know nothing about that, but I'll take your words extremely rare. It looks solid. Love it. Thank you, Paul. No, it's a great card. It's a great card. I think, so Yannick, other than the Quebec connection, is there a specific reason why you were targeting that card?
Well, he's basically not a whole lot of people know before the Rocket, but everyone knows the name Rocket Richard, Maurice Richard. But basically, Joe Malone before Maurice Richard was the top scorer in the NHL until like the mid. I think he had a 38 goal season before someone did a 50 goal season, or something in that regard. And he still to this day holds the record of most goal in the game, which is 7. So here it is.
Yeah, so he was one of the big early goal scorers of the early day of the NHL. He was the big one that kind of
100%.
set the bar. They set the bar, and then later on, the sport would change, but the early bar was set by the Joe Malones. Was one of the guys for that
Exactly.
category.
The Phantom.
So Stuke says that the meat guy have a good show always. The meat guy always does very well. Uh,
There was a
that's the one we
candy
can guarantee.
lady.
Was there this time around?
There is.
I
I
might have walked
was I
by, but
was
I didn't
surprised.
specifically catch it. I didn't specifically catch it, so I didn't
Yeah,
realize that was the case.
yeah. There's
Listen,
got a whole setup with
foods
just candies.
with the price of food and stuff. Like I'm not surprised at all, not even a little bit. Uh, so I will kind of sprinkle in a little bit as well. So what I'll say, one other thing, I will say this show. I mentioned it before the whole show started. I never felt like I was more prepared for one of these shows, which was interesting. It was kind of weird for me to have everything kind of lined up, everything ready to go, which was nice. Even I don't know if I told you, Yannick, but I was saying when I got here and I was checking in the hotel on the first day, they had like a not free upgrade but cheap upgrade, and they were like, "Oh, would you like an upgrade to the room?" I'm like, "What do you have in mind?" And they're like, "Oh, we have a king suite." Go on. And that's the reason why. So right now I'm in the living room of the hotel
Yeah.
of my hotel room. So I'm watching the game. I've got the game up here directly in front of me. So I'm literally chilling here, chatting with you. I'm in the couch, hanging out, and then there's a separate room where the rest of the suite is. And I'm like, this Yannick, this is the way that I prefer to live. This is a much better version of living. Like none of that silly peasantry. Like I don't even want that. Like this is much better. I got to be honest with you.
Nothing too good for the working class, Carlos.
Yannick, we got to work. We got to do our best here. We got to do our best to elevate ourselves up. I just wanted the extra leg room, the extra space. As soon as they told me, I was like, I accept your terms, sir. I accept your terms.
Excellent.
So CC says we always had the meat guy, but now we have a smoke weed booth now. That's probably true. I believe that.
We
That's
did.
right. Listen, there was a lot. There's a lot of pot smoking. You can smell it in certain places outside, no doubt. Lots. See, Eric says bougie. Eric, we need to have a discussion about your bouginess. Your bouginess is transcends. It's on another level. And also, aren't you supposed to be sick? Aren't you supposed to be like on the verge
Dying.
of death?
Death.
That man. I was told about his death. Like I was told he was on the verge of death. I thought we were going to speak well of him, and here he
Actually,
is
we're
complaining.
we're planning a party already.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, get on with it, Eric. If you could get on with it, so we could like commence the celebration. I've got the beer. I've got extra in the fridge. We're good to go, man. We're good.
We got a big
But
mayonnaise jar for your coffin.
yes, listen, we've been plotting against Eric this entire show. We've been
That,
plotting to do the show. I've plotted with the clubhouse people. I've plotted with you. I've plotted with the Burrell. I've plotted with Steve, Angel, all kinds of folks out here. Let me tell you. Hmm. And we appreciate you, Eric. And we're gonna hit the like button in honor of you. See, look,
well, look at that.
like button, bam.
Wow.
And I did it on purpose, Yannick. Unlike Eric. Eric doesn't know how he does it, but I did it on purpose. So it worked out. See. Anyway, one other thing I wanted to mention actually, and it was good. Like I said, in the realm of preparation, I will say that I was happy that we were actually able to, for the first time, we were able to do a live for AMG. We were
You
actually able
did?
to do one for, yeah, we did a live with them on the Instagram, which was great. Sherry and Steve joined me for that, which is awesome. And hopefully we'll be able to do some more stuff like that down the road. That'd be nice. But for the first time, it was good. We were able to share that with folks, and hopefully they got a good time. They've been able to sell some nice wax and stuff. Yep, beautiful, exactly. And you were there, Yannick. That's right, exactly. It was good. I thought it went well, and I think they've had a good show so far, and they had a lot of fun. Trying to move some of that stuff and buying stuff. That's really the main thing for them. It's been buying stuff for them, which has always been
I
good.
noticed the wax and all the newer products on the table were I think they were moving stuff. So
It was Yannick. It was priced like get it the hell out of here. We don't want to take
get
it
it
back.
out of here.
That was
Yeah,
the pricing. The price was like, please take this so we don't have to take it back with us. That was the price point.
absolutely.
I think some people were surprised. It's like, no, you don't understand. They want to move the stuff and get it out. Not everybody clearly wanted to get the
Don't want to
rid of
bring
their
it
stuff.
back to Halifax.
Yeah, exactly. Carlos to take video of the show. Not really. I hadn't taken anything Orlando. I will try on Sunday to take some footage of some of it. I don't quite go to the depths that you do, going table by table and all that, but I'll try to get a couple of shots, like down aisles and things like that. There's plenty of activity. There's no doubt about that. And I didn't spend too much time on the other side of it, but I will probably hop over a little bit. I do have to drop off my PSA stuff. I dropped off my ComC stuff, took care of that. Got to drop off a couple of cards for PSA, take care of that, and took care of some of the AMG stuff. I want to take a couple of videos from there. That'll be fun. But I'm hoping a couple more things. We're gonna work on it here. We'll see what we can do. But that's my plan. I'd like to take a little. I've got my camera, got it in the backpack, but I'm gonna try to at least take a little footage tomorrow if I can. That'll be the plan. Kathy here. Good evening, Kathy. Did he tell you he shared his germs with Michelle and I? Yes, yes. I did hear that Eric was the plague carrier of the Black Death, and he spread it to the rest of the family. I'm sorry, Kathy. Our condolences, our apologies. Um, we'd say we're sorry, but Eric is very sorry, or he should be. He should be extremely sorry.
You guys shouldn't have to put up with him or any of
It's
this
not
ever.
foolishness. Foolishness. Horrible diseased individual. Zach says we were promised. I mean, told Eric was dying, but he seems pretty active in chat. I know, Zach.
For
Even
a
in this situation,
dying guy.
yeah. But listen, Yannick, this just tells me that even in sickness, Eric disappoints
Always.
at all times. At all times. Paul here says, that means no cookies for Eric the rest of the year, right? Facts. Facts. So I'll share a couple of cards, Yannick, but so let me share a card. I'll do a quick. I'll actually share two. I'll share a card and a quick story. That was kind of fun, and I enjoyed it for what it was. But I'll share a couple here. There's a spread across the lower 48. Makes sense. Makes sense. So I'll share two cards. These two are together, and they're a part of one story here, so I'll share them. So we got a 16-17 Upper Deck Premiere. So there is a Jamie Benn, Tyler Seguin mega patch.
Mega
Got to add a little emphasis to the mega patch, got to add a little emphasis to it. And then same thing, this is a 15-16 Premiere, and this is a triple mega patch. So we got that going on. So Patrick Sharp, Tyler Seguin, and Jamie Benn. So two for the Jamie Benn collection. Good. These were actually belonged to a young guy who actually went to Steve's booth. And he was presenting it to Steve. Now, this is actually a good, quick note about etiquette, card show etiquette, right? So I put my stuff down at Steve's booth. I'm not a dealer. I don't set up as a dealer. That's not my job. You were being a dealer there with Bobby and working at the booth with him and everything, but that's different. I wasn't doing that. I was just hanging out doing my thing, and I'd hang out and chill, and then I'd walk around and do whatever. But I happened to be there at the time. And Steve he went through the cards. He was looking at them. The guy said, we'd be interested in buying. Steve's looking at them. And he goes, "Hey, custom Dallas Star cards here." He goes, "Carlos, you want to take a look at this?" And at that, he invited me. At that point, he invited me over. So I said, "Okay, I'll take a look at it." So what happened is, if I'm taking a look at it now, I'm dealing with you. So that's separate. So one thing was one conversation. Now I'm looking at it. It's like, okay, now I'm dealing with it. A young guy, he had his stuff there, but I had a little fun with it because I said, "Okay, so what do you? I'm interested in these two. What do you have on it?" He goes, comes up with a number, and I'm like, "Okay, how did you arrive at that number?" One of my favorite conversations. Like, "Okay, how did you come up with that number?" "Oh, well, this one sold recently for this amount." "Okay, when did that sell?" It's like, "This time." I'm not even grabbing my phone because I have a pretty good idea what they go for. I have a general notion of what those ones go for. And I'm like, "Okay." But I want him to explain it to me. That's the point. The point is I want him to explain it to me so that I can hear him out and hear what he has to say. So he came up with his number, and then I offered him a counter, and then we ended up agreeing to a number that everybody was happy with. But the point is, that to me is good for the young guys to get the negotiation in it because I asked a very simple question. I say, "Okay, how did you come up with your number? What did you base it off of?"
What's the
Because a lot of
reasoning?
them, yeah, just explain to me why. And
Mm.
I wasn't gonna rake him over the coals. I thought the price was fair and I was reasonable, and I said, "Okay, this is what I can do for you." "Okay, then here you go. Here's your cash. Enjoy. Enjoy the rest of your show." I just thought it was funny to me. I was like, "Okay," but I thought it was fun because I remember being that kid at the show, and you're trying to figure out like, well, how do you deal, how do you negotiate, and whatever. And it's like, but it's not. If you've done your homework, you've done your research, then you know how much it should go for. So now it's just figuring out what price works, what price you can make work. Paul says, "Yep, I got sick this weekend too. At least the NFL draft was on." Got you, Paul. Got you, Paul.
That's
Well,
Eric's
hopefully you
fault
feel
too.
better. Oh, no doubt. So, quick question for you. I think you had two cards there that you showed. So that when we were chatting beforehand. So the Joe Malone was one. So what was the other card? What do you got there?
So basically, after I left with my deal with the Joe Malone, I was so high on the achievement of finding one. So after probably about an hour, I remember that the gentleman had a little more, and I guess I made another sale that kind of frees up some of some cash, and I decided that why not just get one when you can get two. So there's basically the goal scorer, and that's the goaltender. So Mr. Moran and Mr. Malone, and kind of like same back, but with the different story. And this is a series of 50 cards. So
Okay, very
I've been
nice.
working on the set maybe, but I know the Vezina is already something that is way out of reach. But
So I was going to ask you that question. So my question was, were you interested in the set? Were you going to work on the Quebec players? What was your thought? What was your thought as far as that set is concerned?
I'm gonna start out working on the Quebec blurs because that's the main goal. But maybe
Yeah.
after this, who knows? Maybe we'll try to pick up. I think a number 50, it's not out of reach as in like a quantity.
50,
But of
50 is
course,
not bad. 50 is not bad.
but if half your cards are over, like and in the set are probably worth my mortgage, then that's a whole other story. So,
It is true. It is true.
so
I
we'll
can't
see.
disagree with you. I think that's fair.
Yeah,
Uh, so this was
but
actually an
nothing is
interesting.
impossible. Nothing's
No,
impossible.
no. I think if you have your heart set on it, you're determined enough. I can see
Yeah,
it being a thing, especially if it's a long term project. If you're not trying to finish it, in a couple of weeks or a couple of months, you could chip away at
exactly.
it for a while. Um, but you did make me think of something that I was actually having a conversation about. I think we had that conversation at dinner too. I I think one of the things that I wanted to mention, and I want to make sure I had it. I think one of the comments here. Let me see if I see it. I thought there was a comment I wanted to mention, but anyway, okay, that's fine. Regardless, I'll mention what I was wanted to talk about. One of the conversations we were having was that, and I was thinking about this, is that sometimes we see so many of the YouTube videos. We see, oh, I spent $50,000 at the card show, or I bought whatever these big things, and this was a conversation we were having at dinner with Steve and a couple of folks. Is like, I still think the majority of the hobby, what I said before, I still think the majority of the hobby, it's like 20, 30, 10, 15, $50 cards. $100 card for most people is you're still thinking about it. You got to think about it. It's not like,
It's
oh
a
yeah,
lot of
instant. Hey,
money.
here's $100.
Yeah,
That's still a lot of money if you work for a living and you've got bills to pay and things like that. I think we got desensitized at a certain point, like with the visuals social media side, we got desensitized to prices. It's like, no, people have to work for that money. It's not magically appearing. But I do think that there for collectors who do collect and do buy a lot of cards and spend money on it and whatever, we should not forget that that's not normal. That's the that's for a lot of folks that is a lot of money, and it should still be a lot of money, and you respect that. But at the same time, like yeah, if you're a collector and that's what you want to do and everything, the prices have gotten crazy and out of whack for a lot of stuff. But at the same time, it's I think it's become very important to kind of focus your attention. Like when you're what you're talking about there. Ideally, maybe you do the Quebec ones, and maybe, who knows, down the road, maybe you work on the rest of it. But if
So
that's what you're focusing on, then that makes it more possible. Then you're not trying to like collect every card in creation. You're not worried about every Quebec card in creation. You can focus on this specific thing, and you know what? Maybe you chip away at it. You can still make it a project that you can work on, and that would be maybe more satisfying than just
I
buying
think it
cards every
is.
weekend. Yeah, just buying cards every weekend that don't mean that much.
This is basically for me finding out the existence of this
Mhm.
really, and then like realizing the story and how this was produced. It took me 2 years to find one that was the way I wanted it. Like
Sure.
I'm not too big on a lot of things, but I like a clear image. I don't
Mhm.
like stuff that is out of focus. I like no crease in the face if possible. Or very, very light. I can deal with that. But
Okay.
fortunately that one did it. And the centering is pretty decent for so basically I was looking for one, but I was able to buy the two in that situation for the decent amount and the look of it. Basically, to me, that was just a win-win situation.
I agree. No, I think that's a very valid point. I think it was interesting watching other folks that because I got a chance to chat with other folks and when they were and they showed me what they pick up. And that was kind of interesting to see like what they were shooting after. And it was the same kind of thing. I found that a lot of the collectors who've been doing it for a while are looking for like, yeah, I want the card to look a certain way, or I want it to like fit, like maybe fit with the rest of the set, or do whatever.
Exactly. I skip.
And
I think I probably look at least 10 of those cards in the last 2 years, and every time you get excited and you hope, and then it's not necessarily what you're looking for. The back is it's got paper loss or it's defaced somehow. Price is not right. And every time
yeah,
you're always like, man, when is going to be the next time I'll see one, right? And you wait, and no, not this show, and then a whole other show comes by, and still not. And last fall I found one, but the crease was too heavy for, like it was hard to walk away on the Sunday. But I told myself, like, you know what? I'll wait a little more, and there we go. So this spring, that was the one. Today was the one.
nice. I like it. I like it. Let me ask you this question then. And I'll share a couple of examples for myself, but I'm curious. Did you find anything when you were looking, just for the hell of it, just looking around, just looking at stuff? Did you see anything that was like crazy out of whack? You just look at it and go, like, I might be interested, except, but then I see your price and I'm like, no, I'm not interested. Not that, not that, not like that.
So I sometimes I find stuff so odd in a way, but then I'll just look at the rest of the booth. So
Okay.
I just know better sometimes that I don't even ask for the price. I might ask for provenance. I might ask like just to be informed what I'm looking for. But
Okay.
I know better sometimes. I'm like, I'm not even gonna bother ask for the price. I said that's more than my whole car is worth. Like, so,
Yeah.
but
No,
yeah, go ahead.
no, all I was gonna say was, yeah, I found it very fun. Like, look, I'll share with you. I'll share with you anonymously a quick story, but I will leave names out to protect the innocent and not so innocent. So I thought it was very funny. So when I was sitting down, hanging out, and chatting today was a great day, like I said, for that. But I was having a good conversation with a gentleman who's seen the channel before. It was great. It was a great conversation. I appreciated it. But he was asking me, he asked, what do you do if you are interested in something? Card's a little tougher for whatever reason, and you do want the card, but maybe the price doesn't make sense. Maybe the price is not a whack with what you think it should go for, which is fine, fair enough. And then I started giving him a little bit of advice, and I'll share it with you what I said to him. And then he also told, but then he told me who it was, and I was like, oh, okay, I know who that is. Uh, like I said, I'll leave names out, but as soon as he told me, oh, that's a different thing entirely. That's what I thought was kind of funny. Um, but which is fine. That's okay. But the point was, my advice was actually very straightforward. I said, okay, if you think it's out of whack, um, maybe a good way to approach it is you go over there and you say, okay, look, I'm interested in this card. I see the price you got. Can you tell me how you came up with this price? Can you explain it to me? Like, how did you arrive at the, did you look up comps? Like, how did you come up with this number? Because sometimes, again, it depends. If you really have to want the card, if you don't want it that much, then I get it. But if you are interested and you really do want it, then it's like, okay, please explain to me how you came up with this number because I need to understand. And by the way, maybe the answer is they're full of crap and they just came up with a ridiculous number out of the sky and there's no chance of doing a deal and that's it. But then you'll know as soon as they try to explain it to you and you can't come up with anything that makes any sense to you and you're like, okay, well then there's no hope for this one. Or maybe they start talking and it sounds like bullshit and you kind of like challenge them a little bit on it. It's like, okay, fine, I'll take this. And then you can maybe get to a real negotiation. If you can get to a real negotiation, hey, sometimes maybe it works. But if they're out of
Approaching
whack,
it
they're out of
that
whack.
way, that gives you a lot of information without necessarily asking the information.
Yes.
Like you said, like, like, hey, can you explain up to me why you come up with this price? And the person right away cannot really even look at you and come up with anything remotely put together to come up with an explanation. Then you're like, okay, I'm out of here. Or like you said, basically you can see the bullshit right away, and
Mm-hmm.
then you're like, okay,
Basically in that situation, I want you to tell me a story.
yeah,
Maybe your story doesn't make any sense,
yeah.
or maybe it does. But if your story makes no sense, well, then I know what I'm dealing with. If your story does make sense, okay, maybe we have a place to start. Maybe we can, maybe your sticker was weird, but maybe it makes sense once we start talking. We start talking, you give me a good explanation, and we start continuing, and maybe we come up with something that makes sense. You never know. Like I can't promise that, but at least if you're
As
not going to know if
as
you
a
don't try.
vendor, as a vendor for the first time, all I can say is I over prep big time. I priced everything. The price are easy to see for people, which is that's one thing I put myself as a collector when I browse around. There's nothing more than I hate than you're looking at something and you have no idea what the price is, or you have to wait for someone like, excuse me, what is the price on this item? Why?
Mm-hmm.
So I price all my stuff that it's very visible. I know my prices too, and I know what things are selling lately or in average of. So if you have any question as a buyer, I have all the answers you need. But please, if you can actually enlighten me on new information, I'm more than happy to learn. But
Agreed. 100%.
I
Yeah.
treat my booth as in like I'll do and provide everything I can to make the buyer as comfortable as possible, as easy as possible, pleasant, and basically, I don't want to do to people what I don't want to be done to me when I'm in show. So that's basically
I,
how I base my you know
I think that's
my
fair.
stuff.
I think that's
Yeah.
reasonable. I think that's reasonable. So we got Indigenous rookie cards here. Name, good evening. How are you? We got Carlisle here says, I see prices on eBay, sometimes on eBay, and think that price is absurd. They're trying to complete the transaction offline without eBay. Yeah. Sometimes people are picking really high prices. They want you to contact them and do the deal separate, indirectly, but that's kind of the way it works out. CC here says, Yanik, as a collector, sometimes the journey is just as satisfying as the actual purchase. I would think that the last 2 years for you to find that card just makes it even more satisfying. I think that's fair.
I had to walk away at some point outside because it was time for my break when I finally bought this because I've been
Mm-hmm.
watching the booth for 2 hours. I had to walk outside and I was overwhelmed. That's how happy I was to find that card. I was like, I had to take a time out for myself to just be like, I can't believe I got the card.
Very nice. Very nice. I like it. Bob Jackson here. Good evening, Bob Jackson. Eric fan club meeting is now in session. No doubt. No doubt. Well, I kept Yannick. I got to be honest. Like I said, Yannick. Not a joke. Last night, I was out with the clubhouse folks. The clubhouse folks. I'm not even a clubhouse. I'm not a clubhouse. But I was out there with the clubhouse folks, with a bunch of them, and I kept going, "Hey, Eric, the clubhouse folks, we're all here. Where are you? Where are you?" That slacker. He's not even here.
Done. Done. Apparently he's done. Apparently. I
So
need
he
proof.
says.
I'd love to see
Yeah.
proof or some kind of a note from the doctor. I think we need a note from the doctor.
Mm-hmm. I think that's without question. Mm-hmm. It sounds to me like a chocolate stick overdose. I think he just doesn't want to admit it. I think
Probably.
that's what happened. I think that's what happened. Carl here says, I guess it took me 5 years to pick up the Eddie Matthews rookie. Yeah. And the Eddie Matthews rookie is a big card. Now, in kind of playing into what you were saying, Yannick, and also playing into this here, really important. Look, if you're talking a big card, especially a big card for your collection, it is appropriate to take some time to consider carefully where you're, especially if there's multiple copies. If it's a situation where you can pick and choose a lot, but at the same time, you know it's a big ticket item. If it's a big ticket item, you want to be happy with the purchase. You want to be satisfied that you got a copy that
100%.
you are happy with, and that you are going to be able to go, hey, this is in my collection. I don't feel like I suddenly need to replace it because I'm unhappy with something. I don't want to compromise if I'm going to spend big money, Yannick. I don't want to compromise. I want what I want within my means, within my ability to afford. And if I can afford it and it is the appropriate copy, I'm going to be a heck of a lot happy. I'd rather take the extra time and get the right copy.
100%. Today, for a fact, I can tell people, and it's not even the amount. Like, this is literally, these two cards cost me less than $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
These two cards. We're not talking here like, oh my God, I need to put money aside forever. But it's still $1,000. And I
Mm-hmm.
wanted it the exact way I wanted it. And this is it. And then the new slab, and basically they were freshly delivered from PSA. So I kind of just got there right on time, and feller was like more than motivated to. And of course, I guess when he saw the shirt too, he thought it was pretty funny. They say, "Hey man, I need this guy here. Do you have it?"
Yeah, exactly. I'd agree with that. I'd agree with
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
That's why when you showed me the card and I looked at your shirt, I was like, "Isn't that card on the shirt?" It's like, did that help you with the negotiation? I thought that was kind of funny.
yeah.
Um, Bob Jackson says, "Is Eric going to get kicked out of Clubhouse Club? He should get kicked out of everything, man. That dude's got some issues. I don't know what to do for. I don't know what to do with that guy. It's weird." Placeholders are fine. So Paul's here saying placeholders are fine if the price is gigantic starting out, which bigger cards for sure. Placeholders become less desired if you see the card at all for at least 6 months. So basically, if it's more available, then getting a placeholder is less desirable. A placeholder makes sense if it's like a crazy tough card and you want to have a copy, but if it's a card that is available, maybe you just get the one that's appropriate. Just wait the extra time and get the right one, which I agree with. I think that's a good philosophy. I thought I had the 54 Johnson's cookie Henry Aaron last week. Damn that extended bidding. That's a portrait, Carlisle. Best of luck. Best of luck in trying to get that copy. Zach says, if Eric missed out on seeing his precious clubhouse guys, he might actually be sick. Oh, he's sick. Oh, you mean like physically sick? No, he's sick, sick, very sick,
Oh,
but the
he's a
physical as well.
sick and vet individual.
Yeah, but sick allegedly physically as well. So I agree, Zach. I agree. Sorry, more desired if you can't find them. Appreciate you correcting. No, no worries, no worries. But I agree with the general premise. I think that's a collector's dilemma because sometimes we get impatient, and I understand, and I agree, and I
Yes.
get the idea, because like, oh, but you want us to be able to see, like it feels like you're closer to completing. But if it's a bigger card, I almost like, you know what, just wait the little extra because then if you compromise, then it's going to annoy you. Whatever the compromise was, whatever that thing that you're not quite satisfied with, it's going to keep bugging you
Yeah.
until you replace it with the appropriate one that fits better, and then finally you're okay. But in the meantime, it's going to annoy you. And why bother being annoyed that long?
I again, I'm on the cloud. I'm still like, I can't believe that I
Mhm.
managed to find this. There's less, by the way. I know it means nothing. It's just pup report, but there's less than 30 of those graded by PSA. So just give you
Mm,
an idea. So
yeah. Well, listen, Yannick, I had the same. Like, I showed those Jamie Benn cards. They were part of a fun transaction, a fun story. But listen, I had the same kind of thing. Like, we're talking like serious, like crazy grail cards. Yannick, the Chosen Rosen. Come
Oh
on.
my God.
Oh my God. Like, so Josh gave me this one. I saw I got a chance to hang out with Josh
I
and he
did
gave me
saw
this card. I was
Josh.
like, Chosen Rosen. I oh come on. Like, Like I thought that
We
was
did
funny.
saw Josh. He said he was going to watch the game, and then maybe if we go online or whatever, he said he'll have his notification on.
Hmm.
Good to see him, by the way. Always.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. I thought it was very funny that when he handed me that card, I was like, I started laughing. I was like, oh, the Chosen Rosen, my dude. There you go.
Did
You know.
you let me ask you this, Carlo? Did you
All right.
notice the amount of kids around today? I thought there was actually a lot of kids around for like, like as in a good
I would
thing. Like,
I would agree with that. I think there was a fair number of kids. That's why I gave you the example that so the Ju Jamie Ben guy cards. I want to say the kid was probably in his mid-teens. Like, he was a younger guy, but he had a little stack of cards there, and like I said, he was trying to sell them to Steve. He goes, "Are you interested in whatever?" And it's Steve's booth. Like, he can do whatever he needs to do.
yeah.
But like I said, when he saw the cards in there, he goes, "Hey, this guy collects some of the Dallas Stars there. Do you want to take a look at it?" So when I took a look at it, I saw the Ben cards. Like, yeah, I'll do a deal with you on those. Sure, no problem. Um, it's one of those things. Did I need those specific cards at this moment? Not necessarily, but I was happy with the price. I was able to have a quick conversation with him and let him go through the process, because I was like, well, you may as well learn how to do this. And I'm going to make this really easy for you. If you give me a price that I'm okay with, I will give you the money and go and buy whatever you want. You're good to go. But it's one of those things but that's why I wanted him to, okay, explain to me how you came to that price. You've done your homework. How did you come to that number? Just explain it to me. And I'm not even going to grab my phone. I never grab my phone out of my pocket. It's like, just give me explain to me how you arrived at the number. Yeah, sure. Sounds about right to me. Here's your money. Good. No problem. You can take care of it. You don't have to make it hard. Like, but it's a good lesson for the kid, because like I said, how many kids will you challenge them? And it's like they can't come up with how they came up with that number. The research is important. If you know the answer to that question, it's not a trick question. If you know the answer to that question, you have an answer. Somebody said, just tell me how you came up with that price.
Justify to me, please, the
Yeah,
reasoning behind that.
explain to
Yeah.
me. Just explain to me. And as long as you can do that, we're good, man. I'm easy. When it comes to a lot of those deals, I'm easy, man. I don't mess with people too much in the negotiation on that stuff. Carlos says, I'm just going to go full Thomas Crown Fair to finish my Braves collection. There you go. Some cards that should be out of reach without criminal activity. I appreciate that you included allegedly. Good old allegedly. That's right. So I'll share another one of the cards. And again, for better pictures, for better images, check out the video. I just dropped the video just before we did this live. So you'll be able to see a better image of it. And I'll take some pictures for Instagram and stuff. So this one was one I picked up today. I'll give you a quick story. And this is one of my pet peeves, though, of card shows. I'll share a quick pet peeve of mine. So that's the Ink Sweaters, Medano, out of 10. So it's a nice patch autograph out of 10. Nice card. Good addition to the collection. I like it. I went around. Like I said, today was my day scanning the tables a little bit more, trying to get a better sense of what's out there. A lot of the stuff I've seen a million times before. It's pretty generic. But I saw this card. I thought, okay, that's cool. I'm interested in that. And it's exactly the way you see here. There's no price tag. There's nothing on there. So I wave the dealer. I go, hey, can I take a look at that? Yep. Here you go. I look at it. Okay, cool. I like it. All right. What do you want for it? And the guy goes, make me an offer. And I'm like, you son of a bitch.
I
I'm
don't do
like,
that.
you have a number in your head already, and you want me to play this silly game. I hate playing this silly
That's
game.
I hope you're gonna give me double what I want for it. I
Yep.
truly hope.
Hmm. Now, the good news is for me, I bought enough of these that I have a pretty good idea what the range is. But what that means is I'm going to play a little game where I'm like, okay, so I'm going to go below that range because I'm going to start low because I'm not going to make your life easy. You have to counter to me, come up with a number back. So I did. We went back and forth. Here's the thing, we wound up about where we should have. But it would have been so much easier if you had just said the damn number or put a price tag on the damn thing and let's save some
Yeah.
time and get to the point.
Let's save the dance now or for later, but at the same time, maybe let's just skip the yeah.
It's stupid. Like it's a waste of
It
my time.
is.
Like
It
I'm
is.
like, it's your showcase. You
Yeah.
you have the card in the showcase. You clearly have an idea. What was funny? So Yannick, I'll tell you, and I'll share. So this had no price on it. So I'm sitting there and I'm trying to think because there's a million cards out of tens, autographs, whatever, patch autographs. And I'm sitting there and I bought lots of them over the years. And I'm like, okay, so this went on eBay, open auction, under the right circumstances, what would it go for? And I'm like, maybe 100 US to 150 US. That's a reasonable range for me to be thinking. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, all right, here you go, dude. 150 Canadian. Now, that's on the lower side. I think that's on the lower side. However, it's intentional. I want to start low because I'm not going to make your life easier. I'm not going to
Mhm.
overbid myself. And then he comes like, oh, I was thinking 250. I'm like, ha, so you have a price in your head. So clearly, why didn't you start with that? And we could have gone from there.
Yeah.
So we wound up at 220. 220 is where we found ourselves in the end. But I'm sitting there like, you could have put 250 on a sticker or something, and we could have just gotten to the same place. Why waste time with the rest of this idiocy? Don't waste my time. This is stupid.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll give you half of what you want. Exactly. Exactly. So this one's for you, Yannick. Here's a question. Yannick, other than language, what's the biggest difference between a show here in Toronto versus a show in Montreal/Quebec?
Um,
A lot more
that's
tabernacles?
yes, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Way more Montreal Canadian stuff. That's like
True.
night and day.
True.
Toronto, you expect Blue Jays, Maple Leafs, so on. Montreal, obviously, Montreal Canadiens. Quebec City, you'll get a little more the Nordic stuff. It's a little more underground. Um, local issue series. Like size wise, of course, Toronto is very one of the biggest. I would say Quebec City was the first one this year, so it's only going to get bigger and better. It's
Mm-hmm.
linked with a hockey tournament for youth, so that's just going to be. I'm looking forward to the future on this one, especially it's 10 minutes from home. The Montreal one, I haven't been in a couple of years. There's been a management change, location change, so it's at the end of May, and I'm gonna try my very best to be there, and I'll probably be able to tell you more then.
Okay, very good. Let me ask a question for you. Same vein, same idea. So here's a question for you. Do you find any differences in the negotiation styles? Are the dealers approach it the same way? Do you feel like there's any difference between the anglophone dealers here and the
No,
francophone dealers maybe in Quebec? Same
no,
thing? Just
it's
different
the
language, but
same
that's it?
dance. It's the same dance, you know.
Okay.
Some don't want to dance too long. Some they
Mm,
just like to pretend they know how to dance, and so same difference, different language. But basically, I never even like you said what the example you did there now as a vendor too. Like I'll never start.
mhm,
Well, just make me an offer. Like if the person asks me what's in my display case, can I? Well,
mhm,
here's the set price that I have, and
mhm.
like tomorrow it's Sunday. Do I want to pack more stuff that I brought, or I'd like to lean down a little bit to go home? Of course, I'm gonna be negotiable more on my prices
Mhm.
within reason. So, but overall, I think it's basically the same. Size are a little obviously smaller because it's smaller demographic, but everything else is pretty much bang on. As you guys on the US side, National versus Burbanks or Dallas or, you know, same idea.
Sure. No, I get it. It makes sense. Appreciate that insight here. Corinne Carver says, good evening. Hope you're enjoying the show. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Good
Carla here
afternoon.
says, Carla here has a good question. Does anybody ever get a table just to buy? Just sit there with cash trying to build a collection? Now, I want to answer this question because I think it's a good question. And
Hmm.
the answer is yes. But the second half of your question is a little different. So the first question is, does anybody ever get a table just to buy? Yes. There's really two categories of this that I've seen, two main ones, especially at the show. So I'm just using the show as an example. One is even though we don't have the same amount as the US, we've got certain companies that are the repackers. There's some folks that
Yeah.
specifically are there and they have a booth where they're buying. they will also walk around the show and be like, "Hey, I'm interested in this, this, and this, and this, and the." Not quite to the same degree as the U.S. guys, but there's definitely a handful of them that have been setting up at shows for years. This isn't new; they've been doing it for a long time. And for some of the dealers, it's a great way of moving some inventory, a fair chunk of it, because they'll buy it. Uh, and then at their booth, they're buying. That's the majority of the business they're doing. But other side of the equation, same idea, but different for a different reason. AMG. So the AMG thing, I did the, like I said, I did the live there. I'm going to try to take a little bit of video of the show tomorrow, like Orlando asked and talked about. I'd like to do that. I've got my camera and everything, so I've got it in the backpack, and I'll try to maybe walk around a little bit more tomorrow. So Yannick, make sure you're in the makeup chair. If I come by with you in the Burrell, like I may come by with the camera. We may do a little
Definitely.
video pan. We'll do a video pan. But the point is, with the AMG folks, what happened is, so they've got wax that they're trying to move and they're trying to sell, right? And they do have a handful, they do have a couple of display cases worth of cards, but the majority of the business they're trying to do, Yannick, is they're trying to buy. They're
Yeah.
interested in people bringing them stuff that they can take back to the store and sell to their clients and their customers. So even though they're set up at the show, they're a dealer. Of course, they'll sell you stuff. They will.
Mhm.
But they're also really interested in buying stuff. They would like you to bring them some stuff that may be interesting for them to take back to sell in their own business back home.
I
So
can
they're
give
predominantly there
you
to
a
buy.
very good example. My both of my neighbors are more into modern. So on each side of my booth, there's literally modern only. I would say like 2015 and up hockey.
Mhm.
And then on the other side, there's these fellas from Calgary. They're the trading post. They're like those two brother cowboys. They have like their hats and stuff.
Mhm.
And it's a constant flow. Like since Thursday night, they have people lining up with the classic. Here's all my collection. I don't know what I'm doing with this anymore, but please help me out and buy this stuff for me. Like, and I wouldn't say there's a lineup, but there's a constant, steady flow of people showing up. And we're talking here, some of them have like not just the Pelican case, they have the big one with wheels, airport size. And then they'll like drag all of this and but they buy and they buy and they buy a lot. Like I saw them transacting a lot of cards and a lot of like others comments that I hear from them telling their customers or the potential seller to them is you have a lot of the right names, but you have the wrong cards that we're looking for.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
not necessarily the right series or the right number or the color. I don't know. Like it's all to me, it's like all unknown territory, but I'm right one table across, so I can hear the whole thing. I
Yeah.
sent two of these guys to AMG's way. They didn't want to wait because there was few people waiting in line. So I
Mhm.
say, how about I brought them to Steve, the scallop collector.
The collector of the scallops, the collector of the people.
There
Yes,
you go.
yes. Yeah,
So
this live stream is not officially sponsored. It's an impromptu stream. Yannick was kind enough to join me on location, and I'm on location, so we were able to do that. Eric is slowly dying off in the distance somewhere. If you listen, you can hear the moaning sounds of complaining. If you listen really carefully, you can hear it. It's pretty sad. It's very sad. But nonetheless, it's just I thought it'd be fun to at least do a little live stream from it, and also give our perceptions, give our little stories about a lot of it. But let me ask you this question. This would be kind of interesting. Now, your booth is unique because you are there with the Burrell. So obviously, that creates a little bit of an interesting thing where you've got unique items that do come across the table and everything. But including that, regardless, is there anything in particular that you saw in the show so far that was interesting or different? Something that you maybe haven't seen or a little bit out of the way from what you usually expect?
let me think on that. I'll get back to you.
Sure.
Like the
Take
thing
a
is,
second to think
I
about it.
haven't
Take a
had the
second to think about it.
much chance to walk around, being like
Yeah,
you're behind your table. But yeah, go ahead.
yeah. Take a second to think. And in the meantime, I'll read a question, but take a second to think about that one. So Bob Jackson says, "What's the most bizarre interaction you've had thus far?" So that's another good question as well.
I have
So
one.
we'll touch on. Okay, perfect. So we'll touch on that here in a second. By the way, I'll quickly touch on. I had a lot of fun with the make an offer guy, and I've had some interesting conversations with some of the dealers and stuff where they're like trying to sell or pitch some of the stuff, and it is bizarre sometimes. The justification. That's why I like to ask that question I told you. Okay, explain to me how you came to that price. And some of the answers I've gotten, Yannick, are fascinating.
Mm.
They'll come up with some weird convoluted thing like, well, I saw like a comp for this thing. It's like, but this one sold recently. Oh well, you won't find another. Like I've got this one, and this one. And they went for this price.
I
Try me
can
again.
literally
Try me again.
hit
I
buy
can
it
literally
now
find it.
5 different
I can
times.
literally find the answer to the. I can literally find sales for this specific item. Do you want to
Yeah.
try me again here? That's why I said, give me a better answer. So yeah, what's the most bizarre interaction you had thus far?
I had a fella, gentleman yesterday, basically, okay, there's three of us sharing the booth. So there's
Yeah.
me, Bobby, and a friend of ours. And we
Okay.
got a little bit of everything. Like I have 80s stuff, 70s stuff, food related, collectible memorabilia. I have cards, I have wrestling, I have
Mm-hmm.
wax, I have name it. I have a little bit of everything. Bobby is
Mm-hmm.
more into almost like 60s and below, all the way down to pre-war. And
Although
there's
he does
another,
have those, although he does have those wrestling photos,
he
which we've
does.
shown in the past, he does have those. It's a very specific niche thing, but he
He's
does
got a
have
little bit
those.
of everything too.
That is the thing. Yeah.
And one of our friend with us, obviously he's got the main two display case because he's a guy who collects pre-war. So it's all eye hand. We're talking here like $1,000 plus unit. And so anyway, long story short, this gentleman come by. He looks like a Frank Mahovlich rookie. I can't remember. I'm terrible with the series and the dates and all that stuff. But long story short, he's like, "Oh, I got it. This is the one I want. I'll get back a little later." The
Mm-hmm.
typical like, "Oh, I'll get back." I don't know. He never tells me. I keep the card aside, and even if he does, until there's money in my hand, like all bids are off, all everything is off the table, right?
Right.
So we sell the card. And then, of course, he shows up. But we're talking here like not 5 minutes later. Like this happened in the morning, and the guy shows up at 4 p.m. And then I'm sure you can guess the rest. Like, where's the card?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I sold the
Yeah.
card. Well,
Mm-hmm.
he's like, well, it was there, but basically the whole thing ended up by me telling him like, look, if you like the card and you know how hard and how rare it is, then maybe you should have just bought it when it was there. Because on top of that too, it was very fairly priced, and my friend was very motivated to sell too. So you had all the ingredients for the best recipe, the best ending, and you did it. But the feller was very mad. He was kind of like not having it, and he walked away, and it's like, you know,
Makes
who
sense. Makes
cares?
sense.
But yeah,
It is true that a deal's not done until a deal's done. The only
exactly.
time the only time that I've found now, this is a really important piece I want to add. This is an important piece. And we've talked about this before. I know that you've had the chance to come to the last several expos, and it's been good. So, and of course, it's been a lot of fun having you and hanging out and chatting and everything. So tonight was really good. We were able to have some dinner. Bobby was thrilled with the food. We'll talk about it next week. He was
It's
thrilled,
so bad.
thrilled, thrilled, thrilled. But we'll talk about it next week. We'll talk about it next week. But the thing is that it's been fun hanging out. It's been enjoyable time and everything. And I got a quick story about the Montanas as well. It was Montanas we went to, but I'll give you a story about that as well. It'll be fun, kind of a fun story. Bobby will have more. I'm sure he'll critique the menu very much so. We'll talk about it next week. But anyway, for this occasion, one of the things that I thought was very funny when it came to a lot of that interaction with everybody and also how a lot of these things ended up working out, you talk about the folks that go in and they don't do they say, oh, I'll come back and whatever. Look, Yannick's been to a couple of the last couple of shows. I have been to shows since the mid 90s. So that means 2 shows a year. That means I've been upwards of 50 of these shows. There are a lot
Mhm.
of dealers who I've been dealing with for years that I've done business with that I know. So when I come by, I say hello, we shake hands, we say whatever. If I go to them and I say, hey, I think I can do a deal on this. Do you mind holding it for me? They'll be like, "Yeah, no
That's one
problem. There you
thing.
go." But they know me. they know I will come back. And if I ask them to hold it, I will come back and pay for it.
Yes.
They're not worried about that. So they know, oh yeah, Carlos will be back later. And I've had occasions where I'm like, hey, do you mind if and I've had occasions, truthfully, where they're like, yeah, just take the card, pay me for it later. But they've known me for years and
Yeah.
years and years, and I make good on my agreements. If we came to a deal and everything, I will pay for the card. We're not worried about that. But you don't get that credit when you first show up. If I've never seen you before in my life, and this is the first time we're trying to do a transaction, you do not get credit for that. You do not get the ability to be like, yeah, can you hold it for me? Or you do not get like, yeah, just take the card and we'll settle up later. No, you don't get that. That luxury is
No.
not available to you. So don't expect it. That's not reasonable. But it is an advantage once you've been around a while and you've got at least a reputation of meeting your commitments. If you've met your commitments and you pay your bills, then people are not going to complain. They will give you a lot of latitude. They will be like, yeah, sure, no problem. Don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. We'll settle up later. Two different things. The relationship is everything. Do
This
you
is
have a
different.
reputation for paying your bills?
You're at the biggest show there is for the type of stuff you're looking for. And now you're telling me that you're going around, like Carlos mentioned this year, he's almost over prepared, like his money, the list, the cards, the hotel, everything is rolling now that he's like, I don't know what else to do. But you go around, you tell me you don't have any. There's one thing with like, I'm short of cash. Here's $100. Give me 5 minutes. I will go acquire more money so we can settle this.
Sure.
I know you, you know me. Here, put it aside, like Carlos said, and I'll be back once and we'll settle this down. That I can totally do this. But if you're just telling me, hey man, I'll finish my round and I'll come back later and get it, and then off you go, and I don't know you and it's saying, well, guess what? It's up for sale on the table. And the
Yeah.
if the second guy behind you and comes and he gives me my price or whatever it's required to purchase the item, then you know, kudos to you, sir. And the other guys, you snooze, you lose. That's all I gotta say. Like,
And that is what I would expect. That's the norm. That's the normal. But that's why I gave that example though. Like I have totally done deals with guys that I've been doing deals with for years. We've done
mm-hmm,
plenty of deals,
mm-hmm.
and they have no problem setting the card aside. Literally, I've had, can you set it aside? I'll come back tomorrow. I'll reload, and I'll come back with the cash. No problem. Yep, done. Put it aside. Next day I come by. Hey, I'm ready to go. Boom. Here's the cash. Here's the card. Done. But we've done deals before. This is not the first time. So I'm
It's
able to have this conversation.
it's a sports card show. Everyone is excited. They get prepared. They wait for so long. Like you got that card you want. Once you see it, almost every reasoning almost is out of your brain for a second till like, okay, hang on, this is my budget, that's the card, the card fits all the criteria that I need. Don't wait, this is the show. It's like eBay but on steroids. eBay, if you don't necessarily have the proper listing or the proper verbiage, then you only have so many set of eyes. But now you're
Mm-hmm.
at a show that there's hundreds of people literally walking by your booth every hour. The odds are that if you do find the card you need, pull the trigger now. Unless it's
Mm-hmm.
completely out of reason, don't wait. It'll be gone. While I went to get these, just the time that I got my money, I had my money, but I was just like waiting to get. They were making another deal on the Vezina 3.
Mm-hmm.
They opened their box and it took less than 10 minutes, and that Vesna was gone for $7,000 for a three, just like that. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You had to be there right on time. And so if you get frustrated because you basically pass and oh, I'll come back later, but that's on you. I'm sorry.
Right. No, makes sense. I agree with you. I'll read a couple of comments here. I just chased down a shoplifter the last Dallas show. He said he thought he had paid at the door on the way out. He ended up paying and no escalation. So actually, so I wanted to read Stuke's comment here. So actually, this will be, I wanted to make a quick story. I want to have a little quick story on Montana's. Like I said, next week, Bobby will have more stories, I'm sure.
Just keep
Because like I
going.
said, he
I'll
loves,
just grab myself A drink. I'll be right back.
Yes. Go ahead. Yeah, no worries. So I'll share a quick story. So like I said, we went to the restaurant. We went to Montana's, um, and we had our dinner. Bobby will let everybody know. He'll give his culinary expertise on the menu and everything. But I'll give a quick story. It was weird because the wait staff on it seemed to struggle mightily with getting the orders out. It took forever to get certain things. I'm not complaining about it, by the way. I'm not here to complain about it. But I did laugh because at the very end of this, I'm glad you're back, Yannick, because I want to make sure you got this part of the story. So at the end of it, we're all paying for our stuff, whatever. We're done. It's whatever. It's over. You guys already headed out. I was the last one to pay, and because I was waiting for you, you guys all paid and whatever. So the girl hands me the little paying machine here for the interact or tap or whatever you want to do. So she hands it to me, but I had this exchange, like no lie. She hands it to me, and I guess she was trying to rush to another table at the same time. So she hands it to me and goes, "Hey, can you just fill it out and just leave it on the table?" And and she leaves me with the machine. I'm just literally like, I can just put the machine down and leave. Do I have to pay for it? Clearly, I guess not. I just sit there like, so I guess I got to punch into the machine myself. I'll tap my own card, get my own receipt. Like, do you guys do anything? Maybe I should have served myself, and then I would have gotten service quicker too. So like,
It'll probably be warmer and better.
I laughed so hard, and I'm sitting there like, you do not look. You do not leave the machine. You take the payment. You need to take the payment with you, and then take the machine with you. Why? I just thought it was so
Here,
bizarre,
here's
so
the
weird.
tell, Carlos. Put your money in it and take your change, and I trust you completely and leave.
Completely, no doubt. Yannick, it was so like I was trying not to die of laughter. I was so bizarre. Like the whole thing was weird. I was like, whatever, man. I don't even know.
I
Um,
did
so
I did saw something odd. You were mentioning asking me if I saw something very cool and odd. I saw a gentleman who
sure.
purchased the Stanley Cup case. You know the case that they carry the cup around during the summer when the
Oh, okay.
guys are partying? Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the case that went all the way to the when did the Blues won the cup? 2019, 2020, I think.
Hmm.
Anyway, so that's the case. So the case, the official case from the Hall of Fame, whatever, this gentleman bought that case. And I got to touch it and see it and look at it and feel it. It was pretty neat. It's pretty neat. There's guys that wrote stuff on it. There's stickers
Hmm.
all over it. It looks like it got run over by a truck. But
I have no doubt. Yeah, Nick,
but
it probably
it,
did. It probably did.
it's the Stanley Cup case. It comes with like a certificate, everything from the Hall of Fame, and it was pretty neat. I witnessed the whole that. The gentleman was just ecstatic and so happy.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah,
So Bobbles was saying I'm short, but here's a coupon for free back scratches. Yeah, but pay later. Uh, Bob Jackson
Eric
says flakes
coupon, the
ruin.
Eric coupons.
Hmm. Bob Jackson says flakes ruin it for honest people. Yeah, there are a lot of weird flakes, man. But like I said, Orlando's saying this right. Go ready to buy or pass. Come back with cash later or miss out. And I agree. Like
Exactly.
if you, I think, and this is why I joke with my buddies and everything. It's like I'm the easiest person in the world to negotiate with. I have a number in mind. If we can't come to a deal, then fine, no problem. Don't worry about it. If we come to a deal and I agree to the deal, we pay our bill, we get it done, and we move on. I'm not interested in. I don't want to spend 3 hours negotiating with you. I would like to come to a
No,
price in a reasonable period of time, be done with it. We'll pay, and I'll take the item. And let's go, uh, and we're done. And then we move on with our lives. But it's weird. Like some people like ham and haw, and they spend all day on it. I'm sitting there like, how much time do you have in your life that you can spend all day on wasting your time on this? You either like the card or you don't like the card. You either want to pay the price or you don't want to pay the price. Make up your mind and just go. Or say no and leave. It doesn't matter. Pick one.
I don't know for you this time around, but this is the Expo edition that I've seen the most social media people and YouTubers and
It's been a lot.
like
It's been a lot.
twice in my endeavors and my adventure around the show, like twice I was in the middle of like, okay, I gotta stop or move out of the way because there's a hole. We're on YouTube and live. And
So this
so
time we had, so this time, no joke, from what I understand, most of these I'm pretty sure about. A couple of them I've heard about. I think they're all true though. Mojo's here for sure. Card
yeah.
Collector 2 is here for sure. I
Mhm.
believe Roth Cards is here as well. I heard about that one. Some of the other influencers I've heard as well, a whole number
Man
of them.
bun, right?
And yeah, that one. I believe he was around during the trade night. I believe I saw like a social media post, so I think he was around during one of those. I think somebody did a deal with him. I definitely saw Mojo for sure. I think you took a picture. You saw you saw Mojo as one of them. So he was around for that. There were a couple other ones that have associated with them as well. I King of Cards is another one who's associated with them, so they're there for sure. We had a bunch though. Like we had a bunch of influencers. There you go. So if you hold on, let me zoom in a little bit. So they're in the Connor Bedard jerseys. Good old Mojo. So Yannick got a picture of Mojo wearing a Bedard jersey,
I
prancing
was
around
wondering who was
the aisles.
dragging their feet in front of me and why things weren't moving. I'm like, that's why.
Mm-hmm. Yep. hmm So we had the influencers. Listen, Toronto Expo. We're getting the
Oh
exposure. We're getting
man.
the influencers. Oh man.
Okay. And any more questions or answers? There's the ice cream.
There you go. All right. Let me read a couple here. So did they give Bobby ice cream cake? Listen, Bob Jackson, for the record, Bobby did make reference to the ice cream cake rant of the past while we were there. He did make reference to it. So I'm glad you brought that up. And he ranted about how it was really not really cake. Yes. Yes, he did. Here we go. After last year's national, I went with some fellow collectors to a sports bar. Our waitress was a looker, but she was terrible at her job. Most unfortunate. Carl here says there's a Georgia lottery commercial now where they show the restaurant trying to scan each with a credit card processor. They eventually refuse to accept the portraits of U.S. presidents. That's unfortunate. Special. Paul here says if by offer number 2 I'm not realistic price, I'm moving on. Sometimes it can be an offer 3 or 4, but it better be in the ballpark or close to the plate offer 3. I don't mind if we're close. If we're
Yeah.
close, we can keep talking. Like if we're in the ballpark of each other, let's go with it. But if we're way apart and we can't narrow the gap realistically, I'm not wasting more time on this. It's a waste of my time. I wish the crews for Mojo, Card Collector 2, Roths would compete in an Anchorman style cockfight. There you go.
Thunderdome.
I like it. I like it. Carl's favorite influencer, Mojo. Good old Mojo. I don't really have a problem with Mojo. It's just like, but I also have no particular use for the guy. He just is. He's not particularly exciting to me one way or the other. He just is. He exists. That's about it.
I saw someone's head that was detached from their body floating.
I did see that. Yeah, yeah, that was the thing. The good news is, Yannick. Here's the good news. They don't know that I still do a live stream though. They don't know. So if I say anything on Fridays, no floating heads see it. So we're good.
We're good. So
Yeah,
as long as we do it on Friday, we're
yeah.
good.
They can't see it. They can't see it. They don't even know. They don't even know. It's
Perfect.
the show's not even doesn't even exist. Don't even worry about it. Worse is than ask for an offer and say no, reply to your offer. Yes. It's a waste of everybody's time. It's like, why do you want an offer then? Like, seriously, if you're a dealer, just price your stuff. Just put a price
Yeah.
tag on it. Whatever it is. I don't care. Good, bad, or indifferent.
Show
Put a
it,
price tag
please.
on it.
It's just easy. Obviously, I
Yeah.
think if you hide your price, that means because you probably know you're way out of whack.
Or you're too lazy to look it up. Like you didn't
True.
even want to bother. It's like you're
True.
saying like, I hope this guy gives me a really high number and then I'll just agree.
Yeah.
You're hoping they do all the work for you. And it's like, no, man, just pick a number, put a price tag on it. It's fine. If I'll tell you, and I'm not going to buy it because whatever. I saw one of the dealers. So again, no names to protect the innocent or guilty or whatever. There was one of the dealers who had a bread. One of the Leaf one of ones. Again, there's a million Leaf one of ones, but they had one of them, and they went in, and I asked, I said, okay, you got my good old buddy, the not swell fella. What are you looking for? They got a price on the back, $500. I'm like, pardon? Excuse me? What? Why? Yannick, why? He's like, try again. And I was literally talking to the guy. I was sitting there like, it's the unlicensed one, right? It's like one of one or not. It's the unlicensed one. right? And literally, the guy, I talked to him for like a minute, and the guy was agreeing with me. He goes, "Well, we probably have a lot of room on that." Oh, I bet you have a lot of room on that. It's like you're not getting $500. No, no, like why? It's like that sounds to me like you want to keep it for the rest of your life. Like that's that's what that price is. And even
Hmm.
if how much, what am I supposed to even offer you then? Like what's the number that even makes sense? I don't even know where to begin here. Like where do I go from here?
Let me
Explain to
ask
me.
you, do you do that sometime like I do? Because I've done it again this show because I know the price is wrong and I know my offer is right and that we could come in an agreement, but
Hmm.
we don't because it's just impossible. And then yet again, for the third show in a row, I'm going by Buddy's booth. And
Oh,
that same card is still in the showcase with that still stupid price that I still won't do anything and just look at it and say, and I walk away. That's all. But
yep,
I guess if you like to move it around so often, back and forth, and not selling it, maybe that just tells you something.
yep. Five actually says $500. They misplaced the decimal. It's pretty far off, man. It was like I was sitting there like, and the thing is, I kind of feel bad for them. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of feel bad for them because I understand they. Here's the problem, yeah. Like if I'm being fair, if I'm being as fair about this as I can, the product that it came out of is actually pretty expensive. So you pull an autograph, a one of one autograph of a Hall of Famer, not so fellow or not. He's a Hall of Famer, no doubt, no question. And he was an extremely popular player. So like there are still some things going for it. But you look at it and you say to yourself, like, okay, look, the thing is always he signs a lot of shit, a ton of it. And he signed a lot of licensed stuff that doesn't go for like crazy money unless it's the right stuff. So you don't even have to worry about that. But then you take a Leaf card, and here's the thing: I bought some Leaf, you know, Red Polls, but it doesn't cost that much, not even close. Even with the U.S. dollar, the exchange rate, and all that. No, man. Like, and Zach's right here. Hey, when they say lots of room, and you're thinking like 20%, I'd be thinking closer to like 100, 120 bucks, maybe. That's probably a lot closer to like maybe where I'd fall. I can't get there. I like this one. The Bubblegum Hall of Fame. Good evening to you. 500 rubles, probably closer to the truth. Probably closer to the truth. It's going to take me a lot of work. My favorite line of a sports negotiator. It's going to take me a lot of work. I like that. Fair enough. There you go. Yeti, one of one.
Charlie
With the Bob
Zalewski.
jacket. That's right. Yep. Low numbered has confused more people than I think. It's tough because it's numbered one of one. I get it. But in 2024, that doesn't mean as much as it used to because we've got so many. There's so many versions of
There's
one of ones. There's so
10
many brands. There's
101s
so many
in one
sets.
set.
Yeah, there's so many brands. There's so many sets. Like, what am I supposed to do with this? This information doesn't change anything. And but here's the advantage, Yannick. I would say is that with the approach that I've taken to the show this time around. Look, here's the irony, Yannick. There's only been maybe one or two shows where I've had more access to having more cash on me, but it's made it really easy because I'm being super picky.
Yeah.
You really do have to show me something I'm interested in. I will
Mhm.
buy it. I will spend the money on it, but you gotta show me something interesting, and the price has to make sense, or I'm not interested. I don't. I don't need to buy it. My biggest purchase of the show, and I'll see if I can pull it up here. I think I showed you. Did I show you the Medano that I bought on eBay? Yeah, my biggest purchase of the show was a Medano card that I bought on eBay, and I'll get it shipped in the next little bit, and it'll come straight to me and everything. But that was my biggest purchase, and it was one that I wanted to pick up for a while, and it was outside of. It didn't involve the expo at all. So let me see here if I can do the share. I've only got one screen, so it'll be a little tricky for me, but I'll try. See if I can pull this off. Chrome tab. Here we go. Perfect. There you go. You can see that. There it is. Emblems of Endorsement out of 15. That's a card that I've wanted to add to my collection for a bit. I was able to make an offer on it, take advantage of an eBay coupon, take advantage of a couple of things related to it, get a couple of bucks knocked off, and I was able to make an offer. I knew this dealer. I dealt with them before. Yanik, they're based on in your neck of the woods in Quebec. I dealt with them before. They're a good dealer. I've had some conversation with them. They're good. So, but that is the single biggest Medano card that I was able to add at this show, and it wasn't at the show. It was on eBay. So sometimes it happens. These shows
During the
sell a
show, but not
lot.
at the show.
That's right. That's right. Worth the peak of junk scarcity. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I wonder if someone has done the math and looked at the increasing number of cards in 5 to 10 years. It's massive, massive. Leaf 101s are like Yager Pro Set rookies. It's gotten like that. There's a lot of versions of it. They're all one of ones, but if everything's a one of one, Yannick, is it really a one of one?
No, no, I think you're gonna have to like spell it to one of one. Then maybe we get somewhere else than just 1/1. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's here's one of very few. Doesn't need to have a 101 on it.
Yeah. No, it's fair. But yeah, I would say it's been an interesting show. I've enjoyed it for
It
what it
is
is. I've enjoyed it. I've had a lot of fun with it. It's been good. And
a little
I think
different, as
I
in
think it'll
like
be fun though.
it's always quieter at the spring. Just not. It's just because it's spring. Like people are doing maybe a little more stuff other than going to a trade show, but it's still very busy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Here you go. We got Josh. Who's the new guy? It's fair. It's bizarre, Eric.
I
It's
know.
the one.
Josh actually told me today how much he missed me. So like that, he
Ooh.
wished we could replace Eric for good. But I told
Listen,
him, I said, like Carlos need the like button to be, to be covered, right? So here's the like
there
for
you
the
go.
dying
Did
man.
nailed it. Nailed it. Mm-hmm. Nailed it. I'm surprised modern idiots, I mean flippers, haven't figured out how common low numbered cars are made within the last 5 years. They will never figure it out. Rule number one. Rule number one. Is there Eric fan club muscle? There you go. That's right. That's right. Yannick was all there with the Yannick. You were there ready with the cutoff with the cutoff, no sleeves, man. You were ready. You're like, here we
I'm
go. Let's do it.
always, I wear these, it's 30 below outside. So
Yeah. Wait, I think I just figured out the thumbs up coming up, Carlos. There you go. Hey, listen. So one of the running jokes has been that Eric, see, it is a thing on the Macs, on the Mac computers. It's a thing, that thumbs up thing. There are certain actions that you can do that will get it on there. Eric has it turned on. Now I could help him turn it off. I'm on the laptop. So that's the reason why you're seeing it. Like on my normal computer, it's not on. But on the laptop, it's on. But I know what I'm trying to do when I'm doing it, so I can make it come on the screen. But I'm doing it on purpose. Eric never does it on purpose. Ever.
do
Yep.
you tomorrow as your Sunday move, Sunday day, like do you go out with a list maybe or last few items that you say I might look for if the price is right? Like
Mhm.
do you go with an offer early in the morning or you wait till like around 3 o'clock when everyone is start packing?
Oh, so you're saying like, do I specifically go in right,
What's your
with the
Sunday
last?
play? Like let's say if you're waiting for something, like you'll try to make like a last offer that maybe
Mhm.
there's a chance, or are you gonna load up on wax maybe or on a is there other stuff usually that you like to do on Sunday or
So it depends on the show. So I'll actually, and it's a great question. So let me answer the question completely. Every year, every show, because it's twice a year. So every show, I treat it as its own beast. I understand that I've been to all these other shows in the past. Like I said, I've been to more than 50 of these. But every single year and every single one of these shows is its own thing. And what happens is if you've been to a couple of days, now that I've had the chance, now that I get to go to multiple days on these shows, there were years where I just went to one day. Now that I go multiple days and I break it up, and I've like, look, we joked about the influencer thing and the whole thing. It helps a lot that now I've got a good reason to be around multiple days. I've got more people to talk to, and I see different folks on different days, and that helps a lot. But the thing is, because now I'm doing so many different days, now I get to play like a marathon, Yannick. So you ever seen like the marathon runners? They're not running at full speed. There's no reason. It's a marathon. You got to take your time. You can pace yourself every day. You can. Move a step at a time, a section at a time, and you don't have to kill yourself in one shot. So the advantage of that is that I get a chance to get the vibe in the room. Every show is its own thing. So you'll find out where the waves are going. And then to answer your question, by Sunday, now you know how the show is going to go. You know how this show is specific, unique compared to the other ones. So some years, I'll go grab some wax because I know, hey, there's some guys who still have some wax. I think they're going to want to get rid of it and not hang on to it, cart it away. So they go, hey guys, I'd be happy to buy 3 or 4 of these boxes if you want to take it. Other years, the same card has been there since Thursday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the same card's there. I'm like, so you want to make a deal on this card? Are you interested in getting rid of it? Or you want to take it back with you? So it depends on the year. It depends on the thing. So
Yeah.
I joked about it with it. I joked about it with it. You have one card that I'm interested in, so we'll have a conversation on it. I found a different card on a different table as well, also vintage, that might be interesting. But I know that dealer, so maybe we can work on something. Maybe we can't. I don't know, but I'll try. I'll talk to him and I'll see, like, okay, I'm interested. What do you want to do? And if the answer is no good, all right, keep it. I'll see you next show. You can hang on to it
Yeah.
because it'll be there. Because if the price is wrong, it'll probably still be there next show. But if it's not and they want to do a deal, sure, happy to do it. It's like I'm happy to cash out some folks on Sunday, but it depends on what they got. It depends on what they, because now I know where the table is and I know where the card is. So I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna look, and if it's still there, let's have a conversation. But
I
every show's
agree.
different. I would love to say it's one answer. No, every show. Next year it'll be a different answer. This show, I have a pretty good idea what it's going to be this time around. Next show, maybe a different answer completely.
This is gonna be a first for me as far as staying on the Sunday, because
True.
usually I will fly out on the Sunday, and usually by 11 or so I got to be at the airport and I'm out. So this is gonna actually my first time I'm closing the show,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm leaving home Monday morning and I'm doing the trek home. So it should be
Mm.
I got nothing in particular, but I'll definitely go around again. Like, you never know.
That's
Opportunities,
fair.
right?
That's fair. Now let me ask you a question. So Bob Boozle has a good comment here, and I'm going to read it in a second. But before I do, let me ask you a question. Coming into Sunday, we finished Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We finished 3 days of the 4. Do you obviously you found some great cards, no doubt. Do you consider this to be a successful show for you as a dealer? As a collector, you found some great cards. Was it successful to you as a dealer that you'd like to set up again? Or is this like a one-time thing? How do you feel about
Um, it's a success for me. I
it?
think
Okay.
it's a success for all three of us to share that booth.
Okay.
I think my partners who've been set up before, I can speak for them that it wasn't necessarily their best show,
Okay.
but satisfying enough that you're going home with stuff that you let go, that's good stuff that had to go. New stuff was acquired, and there was enough transaction and money exchanges that everyone is happy and on the way again to reload for the next show coming up this fall. How's that sound?
I like it. No, that's good. I
But
wanted
for
to
me, it's
understand
a
how you.
win-win-win. I achieved the fact that I went from the buying aspect, collector aspect, to now I'm on the vending side of things. I'm happy with what I brought, what I sold, what is, in the whole world of like when you sell and buy and all that stuff. Like I got my stuff covered now, and everything else kind of like I can either move it, let it go. All kinds of possibilities are there. And as far as collector and Yanik going home, I can't just be happier than this right now. I need to find actually another grill to go after, or
Mhm.
decide which one now takes priority on other projects.
I think it's a good problem to have.
So
I think it's a
Yannick's
good
going
problem to
home
have.
with a big smile on his face, though.
Good to hear. I like it.
Yeah,
No, I
yeah.
appreciate that answer.
And the fact that Eric is almost on the verge of that too, then that makes even happier.
See that? It works.
How
System
about
works.
2 thumbs up?
Pretty good. Just saying. And don't forget, by the way, any likes on this video, I do charge Eric for them. If he dies, I'll charge his estate. It's fine. Either way, I'll charge it. Don't worry about it. Don't even worry about it. So Bob Boozle here had a comment. Sunday play. Hire a big, fat, threatening man to threaten dealer. Step 1. Step 2. Swoop in like Superman to save Steeler's life. Step 3. Say I'm headed to the children's hospital. Step 4. Offer 25% comps for the children. I like what you're doing there, Bob. I like where your head's at. I like it. I like your angle. Beautiful. So let's do this. This has actually been a very fun conversation. Yanik, this is fantastic. I want to thank you for participating, giving us a little insight because you were operating as a dealer this time around, so it was a little different for you. I like
I
it.
want to thank you for having me, Carlos. I enjoy actually sharing my experience.
Absolutely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer if there's actually a fair number of people in the chat. So I want to thank you all for hanging out and checking this out on a Saturday night. By the way, it's just full disclosure. Again, the living room setup, Yanik, the living room setup's pretty good, man. I gotta admit, I'm enjoying this bougie life a little bit. I can't lie. I can't lie.
That you just have a small taste,
Just
small
a piece.
window here of Eric's life,
This is like, but Yannick, I gotta be honest, man. How the other half lives, this is pretty good, man. It's pretty good. This whole time we've been talking, the Dallas game has been on, and I've got it up on TV here as I've been chatting with you, and I've been watching the Dallas game. Dallas is up 1-0, so I'm crossing my fingers, hoping, but I
So
got it. I got the game going.
I have no idea how the other game ended. Our friend Eric is a happy guy right now or a sad guy?
So Boston was winning. I can answer that question for you. Bear with me a moment. So Boston did win 3-1. So Boston is now up 3-1 in the series.
Hang on, I gotta look outside. Toronto downtown must be burning right now.
It's on fire. Yeah, it's on fire. I gotta be honest though. Here, so Yanik, this is a little Expo related point. That's gonna hurt some of the Toronto sales for Sunday. They're not gonna be like Marner, Austin Matthews. Oh my God, these guys are terrible. They suck. Well, they're the worst.
I was actually a little surprised to the amount of Boston jersey I saw walking around, and like Boston Mafia too. Like there was actually a group
Yeah.
of guys you can't tell they're from Boston, but they
Mm-hmm.
drove here for the game, and they said, "Oh, how
Mm-hmm.
about going to a sports card show?" So
Mm-hmm. Yep. I
I'm
know. I know
guessing
some
they'll be
people actually.
walking tall tomorrow.
I do know some people from the show actually went to the game earlier tonight,
Yeah,
so they
yeah,
did go to the game. So hopefully they enjoyed themselves. Hopefully they had fun. But it was kind of interesting. Like Saturday night hockey in Toronto, big time, very busy,
big
very
time.
crazy. Even great. Here you go. Don't talk about police. Police, they were awful. There you go. Thank you, Josh. Yeah, I didn't watch the game. I didn't see the game at all. I watched, like I said, I watched the. I think I caught the tail end, but for the most part, I didn't watch the game. But now I'm catching the Dallas
All
Vegas game on
Toronto Maple Leaf stuff are on discount tomorrow.
super discounts. Yeah, yeah. I will say, by the way, so because I think they're playing in Vegas, I believe. I could be mistaken, but yeah, they started the game like at 10:45 Eastern. Like, holy crap! Now, by the way, I'm a night owl, so I don't care. It's fine for me.
Yeah,
I got the
you're
game on.
okay.
I can watch. I can watch it. It's fine. Look, I got
I
more beer in the fridge. I'll be all right.
I picked I picked up my PSA submissions Friday morning, and the
Okay.
gentleman who was helping me was they're all from California, PSA folks, right? And
Mm-hmm.
you can tell he was tired, and I mentioned something. He's like, "Oh, I stayed up to watch, I think the Nuggets basketball game or something."
Okay.
He was
Yeah, yeah.
asking me, he's like, "How do you guys on the East Coast can do it watching sport late at night?" I'm like, "I know that's a East Coast thing. Like, I lived on the West Coast. The 7 p.m. game, it's like you're having dinner, right? And then the late game, that's just starting your evening, and by all the time it's over, it's just 10 o'clock, and then you carry on with your evening. On the East Coast, I mean, obviously, it's 1 in the morning on Tuesday, and now you're like, I got to get to work the next day. So
Yeah, you're making me think back nostalgically to when I went to Vegas, and it was so wonderful. It was so good. I literally
Yeah,
sitting there at the pub, having my dinner, and we're watching the late games. And the late
yeah,
games were at a very reasonable hour. It was great. It was
it is.
fantastic. It
It
was
is.
glorious. Yannick, I swear, listen, after Sunday, when I go to the expo and I pull my hashtag rig box and pull the Connor Bedard 101, I'm just moving to Vegas. So I pull the Connor Bedard 101, go to Buffalo to David Adams, get my big novelty check, cash my $1 million. I'm moving to Vegas.
I have
Screw
a
this East
small
Coast crowd.
favor. Since you're going to be a really wealthy guy,
Hmm.
can we make Vegas a no Eric zone?
We will literally get anti-air missiles to prevent him from coming by.
Perfect. Now
Hmm.
we're talking.
Now we want Vegas to be, the wonderful, wholesome place that it is. We don't want Eric ruining that.
But I have a cheap solution. I think we can just like circle Vegas with just
With
one line of
mayonnaise,
mayonnaise,
with
man.
mayonnaise. Yeah, yeah.
That'll be it.
Pretty much. Pretty much. Yep. It works. It works. Okay, so real quick, I want to wind her down here, but I want to, like I said, I appreciate Yannick joining me and hanging out and chatting. It's been fun conversation. So, any last thoughts or comments? I know Josh is here again. It was awesome chatting with Josh earlier today. It was great.
Yes.
It was great talking with my Canadian cars earlier today. It was a fun conversation. Bob Boozle, Bob Jackson. Thank you to the Bobs for hanging out. Appreciate that. Eric is, again, just horrible, causing illness, much sadness, much sadness, much sadness. But I do appreciate the chat for participating. That's been great. It's on a Saturday evening. Hopefully you enjoy. There you go, Josh Packham goal. Yes, Dallas is up 2-0.
There you go.
Hoping for the best. Paul here, evening all of Saturday misses. You got to check out the replay, Paul. We got some good insights, man. We got some good. Yannick was offering some insights. Look, part of the reason I thought it'd be fun to have a conversation is that Yannick was able to give some insights from the dealer booth. I hang out with my buddies who set up as dealers, but I'm not a dealer. So I haven't operated on that side of the booth, even though I've been around, haven't done any selling as a dealer. Yannick's got a chance to participate in that. So Yannick, now that we know this, so does that mean we're getting you back at the fall expo? Or are you coming back as a dealer? So is that happening in the fall?
I can 100% announce unless Eric managed to end my life, I will be there
Mm,
in November.
fancy.
That's the only way this would happen, and I don't know how you would achieve that. But
Oh God, no. Listen, with his capabilities, I'm not even worried about that. But I will say, Yannick, this fall expo, I've heard from some potential people that may be joining us. This may get crazy. It might be a lot.
this,
Listen, we may get some because I'm Carlos regulars who may make an appearance if they come to Fall Expo. Ooh.
oh my God. So there will be more of us hating on Eric.
Oh my God. Think about it, man. It's madness. I don't even want to think about it yet. It's too soon. Not yet. By the way, one last thing I'll quickly mention. One last thing. My favorite thing, Yannick, we've had this whole weekend. It was cold, cold. Today, not bad, but still a little chillier.
A
And
little
then
wet.
tomorrow, we flip the switch, and apparently we get humidity on Sunday.
Are you serious?
Apparently,
Oh,
if the forecast holds, Yannick, high at 31.
holy yuck.
Like Southern Ontario weather, my friends. Southern
Oh
Ontario weather.
man.
Like we just woke up and it's like, hey guys, why don't we just
Carlos
crank up the heat for
Carlos is
fun?
gonna be like, I got my ace. Yes.
Dude, it was yeah. So right now it's showing like it shows like feels like 25, but with like risk of thunderstorm or whatever. But earlier in the week it was like high of 31, feels like 31. We'll see. It depends on how much humidity they crank up. But either way, it's
Monday's
gonna
my
be way
traveling
hotter
day.
than the rest of the week. It's gonna be
Yeah.
way hotter than the rest of the week. So either way, so weird, man. I don't even know. Success, nice impromptu live, making the tornado watch go a little faster. Well, I'm glad we were able to help out with that, Stu. And good luck.
Stay safe there.
Hopefully no tornadoes. Hopefully no tornadoes. Jeff here says, hope you guys have a great last day tomorrow. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Eric, the Hall of Fame booth had Boston Bruins books for sale. You should talk to your people. Exactly. These are facts. These are facts. So I want to thank everybody who's participated in the chat. we got a very strong contingent of you later on in the evening. So hopefully, now officially in the East Coast, it is now Sunday. So enjoy the rest of your weekend. You got a little time left. This is a special Saturday night live stream impromptu for the Toronto Expo with myself and dealer Yanik, the dealer himself, giving us the insights. So I want to thank you. And don't do it for me. Don't do it for Yanik. Do it for Eric. If you like Eric, you can give a thumbs up to support him in his recovery. If you hate Eric, you can give a thumbs up because he'll pay. Make him pay. Either way, doesn't matter. Make him pay. All right, folks. More videos coming up on the channel. Live streams next week. We'll be back to the normal live stream schedule, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The longest running episodic, whatever the hell this is. I don't know what it is, but it's a thing that happens on Fridays. And it'll happen again next Friday. So we'll be back. Have yourself a good one. We'll have a recap video for the Expo probably tomorrow or Monday. We'll get to that. More stuff happening. AMG Collectibles YouTube channel on Tuesday. There'll be an episode. We'll talk about the Expo. We'll talk about what happened with them. That'll be coming up. Otherwise, have yourselves a good one. Catch you in the next one. Go ahead, Yanik. Last word.
We'll
Go.
still make fun of Eric, no matter what.
At all times. That is correct. Have yourselves a good one. We'll catch you in the next one.